Inclusion doesn't begin in a courtroom or state capitol. It begins on sidewalks, in neighborhood parks, and in the little spaces where children learn to navigate a world not always built with them in mind. That's what I remind myself every time I walk alongside my 9-year-old son Micah as he practices crossing curbs with his white cane, counting sidewalk cracks, and feeling textured signals at intersections. Micah is blind. He's also hilarious, curious, and absolutely obsessed with dinosaurs. For the past month, we'd been running orientation and mobility, O&M, classes every Wednesday in the central green space of our gated community, under the supervision of a certified instructor, Miss Rayner. It was peaceful, productive, and most importantly, empowering for Micah. Until last week, when a letter from the HOA landed in my mailbox. It read, "Dear resident, we regret to inform you that the recurring use of the green space for mobility training is a violation of community use policies. Activities resembling instruction or organized programming must receive prior board approval. Effective immediately, your sessions are canceled. Regards, HOA Board. No warning, no discussion. Just canceled." I called the HOA office and after several attempts was finally connected to a board member named Ron Masters. He was polite but firm. "It's not personal," he said. "We just don't allow classes or lessons. It's not zoned for that." "She's not giving dance lessons, Ron," I replied. "She's teaching my blind son how to safely walk in his own neighborhood." "Still," he said, "we've received complaints. People feel uncomfortable with the cane swinging around. It's a liability issue." Uncomfortable. That word stuck in my chest. Later that day, I explained to Micah that his lessons were canceled. He frowned, then signed in tactile ASL. "Did I do something wrong?" "No, baby," I said, squeezing his hand. "You didn't do anything wrong." What Ron and the board didn't know was that I'm not just Micah's mom, I'm also the state director of inclusive education. I've spent 15 years writing legislation, training superintendents, and leading statewide initiatives on special education access. And now my own son was being excluded in his own neighborhood. So I responded with a letter of my own, one I copied to every member of the HOA, the city's ADA compliance officer, and my district's state representative. To the HOA board, I write not just as a resident, but as the state director of inclusive education. Your cancellation of my son's orientation and mobility sessions constitutes a discriminatory action that violates the Americans with Disabilities Act and Section 504 of the Rehabilitation Act. The green space in question is a common area accessible to all residents. Mobility training for a blind child is not optional recreation. It's an essential life skill. The claim that people feel uncomfortable is not a legal basis to deny access. I am prepared to pursue formal legal action if this is not immediately corrected. However, I would prefer a resolution grounded in community education and collaboration. I am offering to hold a free awareness session about inclusive neighborhoods at the clubhouse next week. Let me know if you prefer education or litigation. Sincerely, Dr. Lena Morales, State Director, Inclusive Education Division. The next morning, I got a call. "We didn't realize who you were," Ron stammered. "We didn't mean to." "Who I am doesn't matter," I cut in. "It's who he is, a child who deserves access." By the following week, the board had reversed their decision. Not only were Micah's sessions reinstated, they approved a new policy ensuring access to common areas for all residents with disabilities and their support services. The HOA even co-sponsored my awareness session, which turned out to be standing room only. At the end of that meeting, Micah stood in front of the group, proudly holding his white cane. I asked if he wanted to say something. He signed and Ms. Rayner interpreted, "Thank you for letting me walk where I live." Sometimes advocacy is loud. Other times it's a little boy tapping his cane on familiar sidewalks, his head held high.